Test. Sad bi možda trebalo da se čujemo. Test. Sad bi možda trebalo da se čujemo. Test. Sad bi možda trebalo da se čujemo. Ok, i sada testiramo zvuk iz igre. Eho test, da vidim da li sam popravio to. Jačaj se, ok. Sad, da li ima i dalje eho? Ok. Pa dobro, onda ja mislim da možemo da počnemo. Dobreče, poštovani posetioci kod poslednjeg checkpointa. Danas igramo Rogue Trader betu. I dugo smo čekali na ovo i svi smo hajpovani. Iskreno ja igram već neko vreme. Mnogo mi se sviđa, beta je malo dženk, ali ajde zajedno da krenemo iz početka pa vidimo šta nas čeka. Samo da testiram ja ovdje da li sve radi kako treba. Dobro. Ok, Rogue Trader je RPG, to jest CRPG. Dosta podsjeća na tabletop RPG koji sam ja igrao dugo godina. Jedan od mojih omiljenih tabletop RPG-eva. I mnogo sam srećan što mogu da probam ovo i što izlazi u ovakvom tipu jer je dosta bliska tabletop pravilima, ali ima neke silne promene koje izdvajaju dodatno od tabletopa. E sad, pošto je ovo CRPG, imamo odluke, imamo klase, rase, sve ostalo, tako da slobodno možete da u komentarima učestvujete u mojim odlukama, jer ću igrati igru ispočetka. Biće možda spoilera, barem za početnih, ako izdržim 2,5 sata streama, ali koliko mi se čini da će se dosta promeniti na releasu koji je, ja mislim, 9. decembra. Tako da se nadam da možemo da dobijemo nešto novo, jer igra ima za sad dosta problema, kao i svaka All Cat igra u početku. No dobro. Za sad imam opciju main story, verovatno će biti neki drugi kampanje ili neki, ne znam da će biti neki skirmiši, to ne mogu da se setim kako u Pathfinderu da li ima nešto mimo main kampanje. Ali svakako, we will take up the mantle of a rogue trader. Pa da idemo dalje. E da, ono što je super zabavno kod All Cat igara je da može da se bira difficulty. I to može da se vrlo detaljno podešava sam difficulty, ali mi ćemo da ostavimo za sad sve kao normalno. Jer ono što sam video, za sad je igra malo lakša nego što sam očekivao, ali ja nisam baš super daleko dogurao, tako da ne mora da znači da postane teže. Dobro, e sad, imamo ovdje neke pre-made likove, fightera, marksmana i adepta, ili da pravimo svog iz početka, šta mislite? Sad kad bi ja znao kako se pali glasanje na ovome, bilo bi strava. To je Bokijev fah. Tako da ću ostaviti u komentarima da mi napišete da li custom ili pre-made. Ja sam do sad pravio custom karaktera, dosta stvari nije završeno, iako je jasno napisano na nekim originima, nekim doktrinama da ovo nije gotovo, ne planiraj daleko da igraš sa ovim izborima, zato što bukvalno nije završeno. Tako da Kaže Šolak Bahador. Fighter. Mada izgleda baš Rogue Tradest. Slaže se sa portretom. Ajde, igrat ćemo Bahador Fighter. E sad, proći ćemo kroz sve ovo što znači gore, ako mi dozvoli. Znači ovdje mogu da menjam appearance, portrete, možemo da menjamo kako izgleda. Za sad je jako slab izbor portreta, kako portreta, tako i opcija za vašeg karaktera. Tako da možemo da ostavimo na ovom defaultnom. Pretpostavljam da ćemo moći posle da ubacujemo i svoje portrete i da će se mnogo proširiti kad izađe igra, da će se proširiti opcije za pravljenje lika. E sad, on me ovdje baca direktno na brod. Ajde, vratit ću se na Create Custom Character samo da mogu da vam pokažem šta sve može da se bira, barem u beti. Znači ovo smo već prošli portreti. Homeworld, to je odakle potiče, jel te, vaš karakter. I svaki homeworld ima svoje neke benefite i svoje mane. Neki daju attribute modifiere, neki daju i fitove. I svaki ima svoj opis. Ono što se meni trenutno ne sviđa je kako izgleda sve ovo, kako fitovi su bukvalno izgledaju kao placeholderi. Nije dovoljno objašnjeno šta rade atributi, kako funkcionišu talenti i tako dalje. Neki talenti čak i ne rade kompletno ili nisu dobro objasnili kako bi trebalo da rade u igri. Ako dođem do tog momenta, tačno mogu da vam pokažem jedan deo relativno na početku igre. Ali eto, ovdje možete da birate, ja se nadam da će biti još različitih homeworldova. Onda Origin je kao background u D&D petici. Isto dobijete neke dodatne feature, attribute modifiere, u zavisnosti od toga šta hoćete i kako hoćete da igrate. Ali ono što sam primetio je da igra baš nagrađuje sa levelima u početku, tako da generalno možete i da fluffujete ovo, to jest da roleplayete ovu sekciju i da pravite lika kako vi želite i kako vi mislite da bi bilo najbolje. Pošto sam ja odmah išao na neki, jer nisam znao u početku kako funkcioniše, a vidjet ćete, ja sam teo odmah Rogue Trader build da pravim, jer u tabletopu postoji Rogue Trader klasa, ovdje ne postoji. Nego gradite iz neke klase u Rogue Tradera. I onda sam ja gledao da idem na taj fellowship, na razgovore, znači to je harizma kako bi bilo u D&D-u. I onda sam malo min-maxovo, ali čini mi se da nije bilo toliko potrebno, za sad barem na početku igre. Moment of Triumph nisam siguran šta znači, zato što dalje ne postoji. To je opet verovatno neki pozadinski bonusi koje možete da dobijete i pretpostavljam da je Darkest Hour samo suprotnost toga. Kako se ja sjećam, možda su to u tabletopu su bili možda oni kvrkovi, ali nije ni bitno. Doktrine su zapravo ono klasu koju birate. Za sad ima 4 klase: Adept, Marksman, Leader i Fighter. Fighter je, ja mislim, završen skroz i nema probleme. Leader ima probleme u smislu da nećemo moći sve da otključamo što Leader nudi. Adept je isto, je, mislim, gotov. I dele se na standardne klase. Fighter, Leader je nekako face grupe, znači harizma, willpower, fellowship. Adepti su uglavnom psykeri, znači int i perc, i mechanicus, i marksmani su self-explanatory. Onda postoji ove advanced klase, Assassin, Vanguard i Hunter, nijedna nije gotova. I nisam uspeo još da ih iskoristim, jer pri Character Creatoru mi ne da da izaberem drugu klasu odmah. Nije mi jasno zašto još nisam provalio i kasnije nisam uspeo da ih izaberem, tako da kontam da je ove advanced klase se otključavaju kasnije, ali ne znam što ih onda drže ovdje u početku. I na kraju se dele poeni. u zavisnosti od toga kako hoćete da igrate, ali pokazat ću to posle. Ali ajde da ne prolazimo kroz sve ovo, da se vratim ja na Bahardora. Znači, fighter, komesar, sa Deathworlda, naravno, Moment of Triumph nema, Darkest Hour nema, ima Let's Give Him Hell spell. Next komesar, single shot or single target melee attack applies following effect. Target enemy becomes marked. The ally who killed the marked enemy gains an additional turn. Ovo je zapravo strava. Ono, približite me bliže sa tankom da mogu da ih udarim mačem. Dobro, i statistika je sama raspoređena. Sad biramo brod. Veliki deo Rogue Tradera je zapravo Rogue Traderski brod. Još nisam imao prilike da koristim gameplay toga, ali ćemo ga nazvati KPC. Kao što rekoh, nisam igrao mnogo daleko. A piše koja je klasa ovde? Atlantis flagship, void ship belonging... A frigata. Frigata, dobro, to je jedan od većih brodova. Dobro, evo ovo je naš lik, level 1, vidim da se fokusira na weapon skill. Ono što je bitno da znate, weapon skill je melee napadi, ballistic skill su range napadi, strength su strength checkovi kao i u D&D-u, znači physical power, ovde se koristi strength i za bacanje u dalj, ne mogu setiti da li u D&D-u se isto tako koristi, ali ono što je strava, što ne znam je da li tajne kockice koriste strength za bacanje, pošto je jako čudno bacanje isto u igri. Toughness je koliko imate HP-a, koliko ste čvrsti, agility koliko ste brzi, koliko ste agilni, intelligence, perception, ovo je sve standardno, i fellowship je zapravo, kako se zove u D&D-u, karizma. I ovdje su još neki bonusi za stvari, za čekove koje možete da koristite, ali to ću vam pokazati tokom igre, da ne prolazimo sad kroz sve. Pa ajmo da uđemo u Rogue Trader betu. Samo da vidimo kakav je dizajn. A dobar je. Spoiler warning. Sad, ono što je mene malo udavilo je to što i dalje nisu voice actovani karakteri. Pretpostavljam da će da budu. Koliko sam ja čuo, hoće. Tako da... Da li da čitamo ili ne? Ajde da probamo. Slav. Yes, Slav. Kunrad Vojktvir. An excellent place for contemplation. The man who has approached you is gazing down into the depths of the vast temple on one of the lower decks. One has the best view of the cathedral from here. Mesmerizing, would you say? An impeccable manifestation of the God Emperor's sublimity. Sad ovdje se strani izbacuje tutoriale, kratke, i ništa ovdje govori, ok, mogu da biram šta ću da odgovorim. Kakav smo lik? This is an ostentatious luxury, this laughable pretense. It is enough to make one think that the architects meant to compensate rather than glorify. Ali pošto mi on liči kao čovek, komesar čovek imperatora, truly an awe-inspiring sight. The man nods in satisfaction, as if your words have confirmed some thought he had. This is the purpose of all temples to the God Emperor, to inspire awe and reverence. For it is the duty of his servants to persevere in their tireless service until they are presented with a chance to give their very life for the master of humanity. He sighs and turns to you. Idemo dalje. Highlighted words, da, ono što je fora sa all cat igrama je da neke ključne reči mogu da se prikažu u enciklopediji, što je super fora, pogotovo kad je dubok lore kao što je 40K i kao što je bio Pathfinder za Pathfinder igre. Pošto ja nisam mnogo upoznat sa Pathfinder univerzumom, jer GM koji je vodio moj prošli Pathfinder me ubio na maltene početku igre i od tada više nisam piknuo Pathfinder, znaš ko si. I kažem, ovo je jako dobro da se spozna svet. Dobro, predstavit ćemo se. My regards, Bahardor. Voiktvir looks you up and down with a thin smile. Or should I say, Bahardor von Valentius, scion of a blessed rogue trader house in the service of the Imperium. Perhaps this kinship came as a shock to you. Understandably so, given that all evidence of the connection was lost in the generations separating you and Lord Captain Theodora. It required no small effort on her part of her ladyship's servants to discover and verify this blood tie, which has now made you one of the heirs of this dynasty. Šta da izaberemo? Da vidimo nešto super imperijalno. Strange title. Aha, dobro, ovo je sada bukvalno da krenem sa ispitivanjima. Lord Captain. Such are the traditions of the Imperium. Lord Captain is the title that was established in the annals of Lex Imperialis, Codex of Imperium laws, at a time when the first rogue traders entered the God Emperor's service, and therefore it is sacrosanct. I sad, za oni ljudi koji ne znaju šta su rogue traderi i kakve oni veze imaju sa 40K i... moment. Poenta sa rogue traderima je da su to ljudi koji su dobili poseban dokument koji se zove Writ of Trade direktno od imperatora, koji im dozvoljava da idu gde god hoće u univerzumu, da malte ne rade šta hoće, ali u servis imperatora i imperije. Što im dozvoljava ogromnu moć, jurisdikciju, kao i sposobnost da komuniciraju i sarađuju sa zinosima, sa neljudima, i da se onako zažmuri na takve stvari, čak i sa sajkerima takođe. I svaki rogue trader ima svoju neku agendu na kraju. Zašto sam ja na ovom brodu? So that you may fulfill your blood duty, Bahardor. Whatever obligations you had before, they are henceforth null and void, by order of the Lord Captain. You have been requisitioned to serve the rogue trader in deeds blessed by the God Emperor. I see that you are shocked. Yes, you understood correctly. Lady Theodora's authority indeed supersedes that of those whom you obeyed before. The Lord Captain's power is so great that she is capable of performing unthinkable feats, such as changing the fate of a servant of the Imperium, your fate. Master of Whispers, da saznamo šta je to. To put it plainly, I am the head of the network of spies and informers who serve the interests of House von Valentius. I uncover weak links both among Lady Theodora's retinue and in the ranks of her rivals. I eliminate our vulnerabilities and exploit those of others. Dobro, sada saznamo malo o rogue traderu. I would rather not discuss the Lord Captain behind her back, especially not on board her ship. No one knows better than I that whispers are wont to attract particularly close attention. Voidgvir laughs and shakes his head. Suffice it to say that her ladyship is the bearer of the sacred warrant of trade, kao što sam spomenuo malo pre, and the woman of immense power and entitlement. However privileged your position may be, I ask you that you do not incur her anger by being disrespectful or obtuse. Lady Theodora despises both qualities. Kaže da sam jedan od naslednika, da postoji neki kandidat. There are, and you will meet them soon enough. I assume you had some goals in mind. Dobro, da vidimo šta hoće zapravo. But of course, I have come to invite you to a meeting with Lady Theodora. I imagine you have many questions for your patroness. I am sure that she has just as many questions for you. It is regrettable that you haven't yet had an opportunity to speak. It's been an arduous voyage thus far. The Lord Captain and Master, ovaj, von Valentius, are conversing on the observation platform located in one of the wings of the officer's deck. Let us join them there. I shall accompany you. Dobro. Dobili smo kontrolu, kaže follow, dobili smo prvi quest. Idemo dalje. Kao i svaki standardni CRPG, možemo rotiramo kameru. I imamo stvari sa kojima možemo da interaktujemo. Ajde, kliknemo na sve živo. Kliknu se. Šta sam upalio? Incomprehensible information is displayed on a large screen above the cogitators. To opet ovi mašinisti nešto muljaju. Tek pristoji. Dobro, evo nas ovdje. Gde nas hoćeš?
I'll lay claim to the stars.
Altari. Znači, dizajn je stvarno lep. Cinematic. Master of Whispers, it's an emergency. Šta se desilo? Ok, combat tutorial.
Feel my wrath.
Kill the Rogue Trader's pet. Sad, ovo je onako baby tutorial malo. Potezani kombat. Dobro. Sad, ono što imamo su movement poeni i action poeni. Movement poeni se koriste za, jel te, movement. Action poeni se koriste, jel te, za akcije. Neke akcije troše sav movement, u smislu ako se niste pomerili dovoljno na vreme, izgubit ćete sav movement. To me malo smara, zato što u tabletopu, ne znam da li su ovo uzeli iz neke druge igre, ali u tabletopu možete da iskoristite određeni movement, da iskoristite akciju i onda da potrošite ostatak movementa. Naprimer, ovdje je recimo najobičniji napad, kaže spends all movement points. I to mi je malo bez veze, nije mi jasno zašto su... zašto je to pravilo, pošto posle pravi mnogo problema za pozicioniranje, morate da igrate šah više nego da igrate onako turn-based. Dobro, ništa, ajde da se pozicioniramo recimo ovdje i da mu kažemo da... Bravo. Dobro, naučili smo već pucanje i sad idemo, pošto smo potrošili, imamo još action poena, ali nemamo više akcija, to jest jedno pucanje može samo po jednoj akciji da se izvede. Ono što mogu da uradimo je ovaj Let's Give Him Hell. Možda. Već ga iskoristio, jeste. Aha, to sam trebao pre, okej, moja greška.
Death to the heretics! For the glory of the Imperium!
Da znaš da smo dobro, evo streamujemo malo Rogue Tradera. I bit ćemo tu neko vreme dok mi dupe ne pocrveni. Šta kaže? What suspiciously poor timing for such an accident? A wild beast breaks free on the officer's deck at exactly the same moment when the rogue trader and her heirs are gathered here. Without taking his eyes off the dead beast, Vojtvir removes the Voxcaster, to je bukvalno walkie-talkie, from his belt and speaks a few quick orders into the device. Then he turns to you. I have blocked all passages between the upper and the lower sections of the residential decks. If this is a deliberate attack, it should stop the culprits from advancing their plan. Kaže, priči s rogue traderom. Spread out. No one is allowed to enter the premises. Stations. The lines of Vojtvir's forehead soften, and his voice regains its usual courtesy. I'm afraid I must remain here, Bahador, for Lady Theodora's safety. I have to oversee the execution of these orders personally. I hope you will have no difficulty reaching the observation platform on your own. It's just at the end of this corridor. Dobro, opet neki tutorial, znam sve, čitao. Jasno što treba. Ok, ovdje ima još ljubimaca. Rogue traderi su poznati po tome da skupljaju Zeno artefakte. Tako da sa Lady Theodorom nije ništa drugačije. Idemo dalje.
I won't tolerate weakness.
Kakav je komesar. Ajde probam da pročitam ovo. Edeltard. Jesus, Edeltard. That is simply irrational, Lady Theodora, says the man dressed in peculiar garb, his voice tight with tension. His face, half of which is covered by sin skin, is twisted in a grimace of displeasure and disbelief. Assimilation into the trade structure would be political and economic suicide, practically an admission of heresy. Evo je Theodora Rogue Traderka, pogledajte kako je besna. The tall, gray-haired woman pins him with her gaze, her cybernetic eye flashing crimson. Then suggest an alternative that will satisfy me. I have described the situation, no worse than my seneschal could have done. Make a decision. What will you do with Aeon 6, Edeltard? Nagadamo, I'm here to speak, listen in silence. Survey, ajde vidimo ko je sve tu. Your first impressions of Edeltard, who appears to be about 30 years old, is of parchment-like skin stretched over a tightly bundled mass of sinew, implants and bone. The nervously twitching fingers, the face twisted by a slight tic, and the jerky movements are all signs of some illness or defect that has taken over his physical form. I nemamo sliku još njega zato što je u beti dalje. In stark contrast to Edeltard, Theodora von Valentius features appear as they were carved from marble, eternal and indestructible. Head raised high, proud posture, hands clasped casually behind her back. Everything seems to emphasize the difference in status between her and Edeltard. Behind the two of them, you see two more men. One is a gray-haired officer of impeccable bearing who is studying the contents of his data slate. To je tablet. The other is a behemoth bristling with holsters and baldricks containing all manner of weapons. Our second candidate has joined us. The dry female voice, the powerful feeling of being watched force you to look at Theodora. The rogue trader is looking straight at you, and her gaze, like herself, is predatory and oppressive. Bahador, approach and give me your answer. E sad, mi imamo neke skillove, kao što smo na početku, bukvalno tako zvuči. Na početku smo birali neke ove skillove, to jest pošto je primjer karakter nismo, ali postoje različiti vrsti lorova, to je kao neki wisdom check, recimo. Ima lore Xenos, lore Warp. Lore Xenos nam govori o koliko poznajemo Zenoe, to jest ne zemaljce, ne čoveke, a Warp je koliko poznajemo stvari oko Warpa, demone i tako dalje. Nisam siguran da li ima poseban lore za demone skroz ili Warp se odnosi ovde samo na putovanje kroz isti. Dobro, šta kaže Teodora? Consider this hypothetical situation. Aeon 6, a new world on the fringes of the Coronus expanse. High seismic activity, regular magma eruptions, metamorphic rock deposits, prospects for large-scale mining. The world is populated by natives who worship some heretical underworld spirits that protect those who offer them sacrifices. Flights of fancy, you might say. But attempts to install ore extractors have failed for the second time. The mining crews sent to the planet's surface simply vanished overnight. My question to you is, what would you do with this poisoned treasure? Sad, prošao sam oba lore checka. Vidimo što kaže za Xenos. Those spirits could well be the natives' name for dangerous aliens. I would first verify if that's indeed the case, and if the population of Aeon 6 engages in Xeno worship, što je no. Ili lore Warp. There are ways to confirm whether what is happening in Aeon 6 is witchcraft or not. This might cost several cycles to do so, but it will give us the answer. Onda sad da vidimo po originu. I am a former commissar. I will continue sending in more people. Naravno. One crew after another until someone succeeded in their service to humanity and the conquest of Aeon 6. Ovo je pravi odgovor. These reports of spirits certainly sound like evidence of heresy. However, I would put my interest first. No matter what means I would have to use, the riches of Aeon 6 would be mine. Sad, ja mislim da se dobije bonus XP ako izaberem jedno od ovih lore checkova koje sam prošao. I onda bi vidio da li su jeretici. Theodora arches an eyebrow. Reasonable and prudent, however, chasing after ethereal creatures may prove a rather long and fruitless endeavor. Onda se ovaj buni i kaže, apart from Xenos, an untrodden planet might be teeming with myriad horrors that are far more dangerous and difficult to eradicate. I suspect that you, Bahardor, are simply unaware of their existence. I gave a straight answer to a simple question. There was still more that you could do. Hoćemo da ga prozivamo. We are both servants of the God Emperor Elite Theodora. Does it become anyone of your status to engage in petty feuds? I find your tone most disagreeable. We will kindly alter the manner which you address me, or I will deliberately get to consequence. Da mu pretimo? Ili jednostavno da mu pretimo? Ne, idemo na God Emperor. Kako se usuđuješ da se tako ponašaš pred nekim? Even among his flock, not all are of a piece, Bahador. I suggest you familiarize yourself with that fact before you are sorely... Edelhard, kaže Theodora. Theodora Stone renders him silent. I believe I gave you an assignment on this ship. Explain to me then why my senior... Okay, here we go. Why my senior congregator, yes, is still dawdling about the officer's deck instead of proceeding to the middle decks to commence the inspection of the compartments in his purview. I beg your forgiveness, Lady Theodora. Your presence has such a profound effect on me that I well forgot the time. Edelhard bows ceremoniously and takes his leave without sparing you another look. Dobro, oterali smo ga. Što Boki kaže, zvuči kao francuski, ali ne vidim šta si dole napisao, Čekaj, sad će možda će da mi pišu u ABS-u. Neće, ovo srce mi smeta. Tako ovi da zvuči kao neki francuski slepac. Theodora gaze follows him as he leaves. Then she turns to you. So, Bahardor, Nisi šolak mogo da izabereš nekog primjera sa jednostavnim imenom. Ne. Why are you here? Kaže, zašto sam ovde? Ja nemam pojma zašto sam ovde. Nemam pojma. Theodora smiles wryly. Ko francuski sir. Sir, okej. Clarity. A luxury that few of us can afford. There is a reason why I did not explain all the details of the question I posed to you earlier. Beyond the borders of the Imperium, seldom is one granted an opportunity to enjoy information in abundance. This, however, is one such opportunity. My name is Theodora von Valentius Massimo Afscarus. Jesus. I am a rogue trader in the service of the God Emperor of humanity, and my rights and freedoms are vindicated by a most sacred relic, the warrant of trade, kept aboard this very vessel. Mine is the honor to venture into the darkness beyond the Imperium and carry humanity's light where powers wicked and heretical reign and bow the death and ruin to us all. It's my decision alone to determine the fate of whatever I find past the bounds of the explored void. Every world I discover, along with all there is to find thereon, resources, people, riches, and mysteries, is mine by right. I command millions of lives, rule over numerous planets, and possess fortunes that no planetary governor or commander could dream of amassing. And you, Bajardor, are one of those with the von Valentius blood in their veins, and a rightful claim to this inheritance when the hour comes. One of znači ima više. Naturally, some have yet to arrive on board, but you have had the pleasure of meeting one of them. Edelhard might be somewhat disconcerted by the scale of the responsibilities that may potentially fall upon his shoulders. However, I have a good feeling about him as a candidate. Blood right alone is not enough to earn the high honor of becoming the bearer of the warrant of trade. Nonetheless, your abilities and talents may yet prove useful. If not for the role of Lord Captain, then for what? Then for that of their closest ally. Theodora sighs and looks away pensively for a brief moment. Alas, even those responsibilities can at times be too challenging for those who share your blood. Kunrad Voigtvir served me for many years before he made his mistake. E sad, ćemo da pričamo sa njom. Kaže, ako si zadovoljna sa ovim, zašto gubiš vreme na meni? Theodora shakes her head. Impatience. I'm rather fond of impatient people. They're not as quick to resign themselves to circumstance and more eager to show initiative. Even if I do choose Edelhard as my successor, I will still require loyal advisors. The skills and knowledge you acquired in your former life may prove invaluable here in the Koronus Expanse. Da, imam mnogo da se čita, znači... to me jako usporilo kad sam igrao prvi put da probam igru, zato što nema još voice actinga, a trebalo bi da bude. E sad, ako vas smara da čitam, slobodno mi recite, a ako vas zanima kontekst onoga što se dešava i ako možete brzo da pročitate, nemam ništa protiv. Tako da, slobodno kažete, smaraš, prestani i ja ću da prestanem. Okej? A svakako ću da prestanem u jednom momentu kad se umorim, jer je ovo, vrati, ima mnogo. Once you were a commissar of the Imperial Guard, a political officer who was not afraid to face his own death or to send his underlings to theirs. Resolve, faith, implacability. Ne znam što znači ova reč. And all of it gives one a unique perspective when presented with a situation where a less steadfast individual could falter. Trust me, your future holds plenty of situations where your commitment to your duty or your house's interest will be one of your strengths. Dobro, da sam čuo dobro, Master of Whispers, to je ono što nas je prvi sačekao, is related to you. His kinship to me is most distant, as is yours. Nonetheless, he does bear the name von Valentius, even if he avoids using it publicly. and as such, strictly speaking, can be considered my heir. That door, however, is closed to him. Wojtvir's performance in his current role is satisfactory, or it used to be at least. Dobro, sad ja da pitam nešto. The vox affix to Theodora's attire suddenly comes to life, but all you can hear is unintelligible noise. Theodora winces, shuts off the transmission, and gives you an imperious nod. I have some time before the navigator gives the signal to initiate the voice ship's translations out of the warp, and my presence is required on the bridge. Sad ćemo malo da naučimo kako funkcioniše, kako brodovi funkcionišu 440K i kako putuju kroz warp. Šta su to navigatori? Znači, navigatori su sankcionisani mutanti, plemeniti mutanti, čiji geni dozvoljavaju da bezbedno putuju kroz, to jest da navode brod kroz warp. Warp is an alternate dimension of pure energy and madness existing as a mirror to real space, also known as the Immaterium, the Empyrean, the Ether, the Sea of Souls, or of warp space. Plemeniti mutanti da ja ime za band. Da. Zapravo ću zapišem to. Dobro, šta kažu navigatori? Theodora shakes her head. Sometimes I forget that people without direct access to a ship's bridge may not know the first thing about how a void ship travels between the stars. Vessels such as this one are capable of leaving real space and traversing into the warp, an otherworldly dimension of cruel and unthinkable forces. By entering it under the protection of the Geller field je, ovdje nisu objasnili, ali to je uređaj koji šalje, ajde kažemo, štit od, sajkirski štit recimo, nije to fizička baš manifestacija, sajkirski štit koji obavije brod i čuva ga od uticaja warpa. A u warpu se dešava svašta, znači to je bukvalno rupa između dve tačke u real space-u. Ili zapravo više tačka, zavisno si kako se gleda. We shortened the route to our destination, crossing distances that would require hundreds of years in a matter of weeks instead, sometimes in days or even hours. That is how humanity spread across the galaxy. That is how we are able to build the Imperium, which spans millions of stars. Da, još jedna stvar, ako se nešto desi Gellerfieldu i ako Gellerfield pukne, možete se oprostiti sa brodom. Neće se brodu samom ništa desiti per se, ali će ljudi unutra poludeti, ući će demone, pretvorit će se u demone, krenut će se ubijaju međusobno, znači bukvalno dolazi do potpunog mentalnog kolapsa. Zato što često Immaterium, to jest warp, objašnjavaju kao neku vrstu noćne more, ajde tako da nazovem. Kaže, incident se desio na officer deck. Zver izašla. Is that so? I do keep a number of pets native to one of my planets on the officer's deck. Perhaps someone was careless during feeding time. Or it could be the warp playing tricks on us, in spite of the Geller field. Or perhaps our possessed ship was in the mood for a lark. The gray-haired officer gives the rogue trader a look of cautious disapproval. Lady Theodora, for the God Emperor's sake, surely you do not intend to start repeating idle rumors spread about by the uneducated riffraff. Enough, Abelard. Such heresy amuses me. Idira eagerly retells me everything she learns from the whispers of her unseen advisors. She turns to you. This ship is thousands of years old. It has enough hidden nooks, malfunctioning cogitators, and unseen compartments to make ignorant folks speak of specters dwelling inside the bulkheads and plotting against those who yet live. Kuda ide ovaj brod? The Rykad system, the domain of the rogue trader Winterscale. One of my peers and rivals. Only 3 rogue traders exists in the Coronos Expanse. Coronos Expanse je regija koja je odvojena od regije gde Imperija drži prevlast trenutno. Sad mi je pobegao Event Horizon, bukvalno da, Event Horizon. Neki kažu da je Event Horizon zapravo prequel za 40k, ali otprilike je to Event Horizon. Šta ste da kažem, Coronos Expanse, a originalna zona se zove... Bože, stao mi mozak. Nije Krasus, nego... Nebitno, Coronos je, znači, odvojena regija. I kroz nje se dolazi kroz jednu crvotečinu. I samo kroz tu crvotečinu može da se dođe u Coronos Expanse. I zato su Rogue Traderi tamo poslati prvi, jer oni imaju tu mogućnost da imaju tu slobodu da rade šta hoće. Naravno, Imperija je posle poslala i vojsku i sve i podigli su jednu stanicu koja se zove Footfall, ali o tome ćemo kasnije. Perhaps you will one day assist House von Valencius in surpassing both of them in affluence and splendor. I set a course for Raikad on the demand. Theodora grimaces. She gives you a stern look and then shrugs. For a very specific reason. Perhaps I shall yet appraise you of the purpose of this voyage, but now is not the time. Šta su moje odgovornosti? Observe, learn, absorb. It will take time for you to find your bearings aboard this vessel and your new position. Eventually, I will find a post that suits you as I did for Edeltar, this guy. Until that time comes, consider yourself my aid. Gracious Lord Captain, sure there's ways I can prove myself over the air. Nećemo da se čepimo. I have no more questions. In that case, I shall head to... And then Theodora's voice awakens once more. This time you pick up shouting. The Lord Captain freezes, listening to the voxcast. Then nods and draws her weapon. Disturbances reported on the adjacent decks. Seneschal, if the need arises, protect the new blood. She glances at you. It is possible that the chance to prove your word may present itself sooner than you might have anticipated. Može se desiti od cinematika, kada mi voda.
I'll turn you into corpse starch.
Passive skill check. Character skill, effect, current level knowledge. Dobro, pasivne skillove, ne moramo to da objašnjamo, sad nisu bitni. Sad ovdje još ne mogu da vam pokažem zapravo kako combat izgleda, ovo i dalje malo stageovano. Ej!
Reduced to dust.
Ma čozdra. Mort. Što njega nismo birali. Da, šališ se, ali ovdje je zapravo inicijativa i rola si inicijativa. Tu su, ja mislim, skriveni rolovi. Dobro, znam to, kako se koristi cover. Sad, da, postoji cover i half cover. Cover... Ovdje nemam cover. Zašto nemam ovdje cover? Cover i half cover vam smanjuju damage koji dobijete, najprostije rečeno. Ajde, sakrećemo se ovdje i onda ćemo da pucamo na... Aaaa, pogodio sam, fuck yeah, aj, zaboravio sam iskoristiti spell, nema veze. Critical hit, dobro, self-explanatory, ne moramo da ulazimo u detalje krita. Znači evo, na primjer, ovdje imamo celu
ears are ringing.
Gde sam našao onaj ceo spisak šta se desilo? Znači, evo, ovo je bukvalno šta se desilo. Znači, Heretic Cutthroat hits Abelard with autogun for 3 piercing damage. Šta to znači? Znači, treba da baci... Ovo, cijela igra funkcioniše po D100 sistemu. Znači, radi se kao procentualno, od 0 do 100. Point je da se baci uvek ispod određenog broja. Znači, hit roll kaže da mu treba 50 ili manje, on je bacio 33, što je pogodak. Onda je igrač pokušao da dodžuje, to jest saveznik. Trebao je da baci ispod 25, bacio 67, što znači da nije. I ovde se ispod su base statistike u odnosu na šta se sve tu multiplier i šta god. Crit je da mora da baci ispod 10. Damage baca u odnosu, zavisi od oružja koliko može damage da uradi. Koliko mu armor smanjuje damage i rezultat je 3 damage. U tabletopu je malo drugačije, sabiraju se piercing. Ako oružje ima piercing, znači da probije armor. Ako nema piercing, uopšte ne probije armor. Tako da ima tu nijansi napada i svega. I to ćemo polako kroz igru da provalimo kako sve funkcioniše, da sad ne izbombardujem sa pravilima. Jako je lagan tutorial i jako lagano ubacuju celu igru, tako da i onda posle naglo ubaci sve. Tako da sam jako zadovoljan time. Sad ćemo ovako da iskoristimo, kako smo rekli, let's give them hell. Apsolutno promašimo sve i tu su nam otišli i movementi i ostale su nam 2 akcije, ali ne možemo ništa da uradimo sa te 2 akcije.
Pain and duty go hand in hand.
Okej, bukvalno ništa nije preživao. Theodora waves her hand in a commanding gesture. Mort, take a team with you and clear a path to the transport line. Do not let a single Horsan survive. The rogue trader turns her eyes to you. Didn't bat an eye when that scum burst into the deck, hmm? Not bad. I have seen many an officer who panicked at the sight of combat on the upper decks. The false sense of security makes them that much more susceptible to the harsh realities of warp transitions. She looks at the box in her hand. All you can hear is lifeless static. Šta se dešava? Abelard kaže. From what we have seen, Bahadur, I can speculate that we are dealing with some variety of warp madness. The seneschal is astonishingly calm for someone who has just survived a sudden attack. Senešali, ne da mi ovdje da prikažem, su, ajde da kažemo onako baš desne ruke Rogue Traderu. Ovdje je malo, u tabletopu oni su ti Master of Whispers, znači oni uglavnom pristupaju generalnoj publici. Ako se sleti na neku planetu, Senešal je taj koji će prvi napraviti kontakt, organizovati kako će da prime Rogue Tradera, mislim, zavisi od Rogue Tradera, i oni su isto Master of Whispers. Ovde je malo drugačije, Senešali su ovde nešto slično, ali postoji Master of Whispers odvojena očigledna kategorija ovde, barem na ovom brodu. Ali opet, Senešali se biraju od strane Rogue Tradera kao desne ruke. Bukvalno Rogue Trader, Senešal, pa svi ostali. The Seneschal is astonishingly calm for someone who just survived a sudden attack. Such episodes are not uncommon among voidsmen who have found themselves outside the boundaries of real space, though such episodes seldom spill onto other decks. Theodora clicks her box a few times. The casters are not working, or have been sabotaged. Either the warp is toying with us, or someone went to great lengths to cut the ship's communications. I will need a direct channel to the chief engine seer. Engine seer je tech priest koji se bavi koji služi da baci kandilo na motore. Tako funkcioniše tek u ovom univerzumu, objasnit ću posle da budemo došli do toga pošto će biti. Before I can get a sense of what we are up against. Whatever it may be, keep your weapons at the ready. I imagine it will be some time before we no longer need them. Kaže, kako mogu naoruženi ljudi da se nađu ovoliko blizu i da napadnu kapitana? The Seneschal gives you a gloomy look. Sad, Rogue Trader nije kapetan, to je jako bitna stvar. Trust me, Bahardor. This is hardly surprising for a crew of thousands. The lower decks are a fertile environment for discontent and heresy, no matter how one tries to incinerate any seeds before it can take root. All it takes is a hint of warp influence to cloud the minds of normally obedient cattle. Da, ono što sam rekao, Gellerfield čuva ljude od uticaja Warpa, a Warp pokušava non stop da utiče na ljude, da ih preobrati na stranu haosa. Između ostalih, uvijek da ih pobije sve, zavisi od boga do boga. Postoje 4 boga haosa, nećemo ulazimo sad u to. Sporadic riots on the lower decks never reach these compartments. Theodora's anger causes the Seneschal to shrink slightly. No, the tumults, ne znam šta je ovo, ne znam reč, of the rebel are always contained within their own territory. This is too well organized. This is spreading too rapidly. Dobro, sad ovo incident sa zverima može biti konektovan sa ovim. Possibly, quite likely. Theodora winces and flicks the switch of her vox a few times. We will investigate at a later time. Right now we need to isolate the affected compartments and try to assess the situations. Naređenja. She breaks eye contact with you. Mort has gone ahead to clear a path for us. If you want to make yourself useful, go after him and see if the Archmilitant requires aid. And be quick about it. Archmilitant, ili ti Šolakova omiljena klasa, je vojnik koji je obično veteran iz nekih ratova, koji je odličan poznavac oružja, naoružanja, veliki strateg i služi za ono, kao recimo lični Rogue Traderov bodyguard, ali je mnogo više od toga. Znači nije mu samo cilj da čuva Rogue Tradera, nego sve što se tiče naoružanja, strategije, rata, Archmilitant je tu u te svrhe. Kaže, nađe Archmilitant. Sad možemo lootujemo nešto ovdje, nije još ne dozvoljavamo. Pokušavaju da probiju... Dobro, ovdje igra jako jasno pokazuje koliko su Les Rifles precizni i dobri i zašto ih koriste svi vojnici Imperije, jer ne mogu bukvalno ništa ubiju sa timom. Ajmo, hodaj. Ali sa Meltom mogu da ubiju sve. Kunrad Vojtvir. Kunrad Vojtvir lets out a sigh of relief upon seeing you. Thank Providence you are alive and well. Always on time, eh, Konrad, kaže Mort. The moment we finish chasing the riffraff around the deck, you show up. Always just after the fighting's done. You could set a chrono by it. Chrono je sad, samo na 40 kaoskom. Konrad pointingly looks away from the Archmilitant to you. Mort, pull yourself together. The Archmilitant looks back at you. What? Did the Lord Captain send you to chivvy us along? We are all done here. I'll report right away. Mort pulls his watch from the belt and hurriedly reports on the situation. Master of Whispers, kaže Theodora. What is happening on my ship? The Voxnet is silent. The Voxmaster is not responding. Armed assailants have stormed the officer's deck, and my archmilitant just destroyed several more heretics on the way here. Is this a severe case of warp madness? Have some of my crew lost their minds and forgotten who they are and whom they serve? Report. Kunrad kaže, I have not yet received word from the Engineerium regarding any Geller field failures, but communications were already unstable half an hour ago, and now they have ceased altogether. Whatever the case may be, the consequences are spreading fast. I am receiving scattered reports from the middle decks, and the only vox cast from the lower bays are the one-way heretical gibberish. Voigtvir pauses. That the madmen have already reached the officer's deck suggests that this outrage was planned in advance. Perhaps this is an organized mutiny. Pobuna kažeš. Ko bi se pobunio ovdje u sred warpa? Pobuna protiv Emperor's Anointed. Execute the traitors, every last one of them, tako je. First, we have to confirm that the bridge and the navigator's sanctum are secure, and I have means to do both things at once. Her expression changes and her eyes flash ominously. Theodora looks at Voigtvir. Edelhard, where is he? I must know if he is unharmed. A psyker aboard the ship that is potentially being assailed by the warp could pose a greater threat to himself and others than the whole army of madmen with improvised weapons. Psykeri su magovi, ajde tako da ih nazovemo, samo mnogo više od toga, zato što su oni vuku svoju moć direktno iz warpa, što ih čini jako opasnim. I Psykeri su generalno zabranjeni u 40K univerzumu, ali postoje sankcionisani Psykeri koji, to je duga priča, generalno Psykeri su zabranjeni osim kad nisu. Eto, to je odgovor. Kunrad kaže, I try to locate them, but the last thing known about his movements is that he arrived on transitional deck 18. Blast it! Master of Whispers, find Edelhard immediately. Seneschal, locate Tlas, or Tias, and the Sisters of Battle. Both are to remain at my side. Archmilitant, with me. I must go to my study, and it appears that we might encounter heretics along the way. Bahardor. If I may, Lord Captain. Voigtvir's voice is soft and cautious. Transitional deck 18 is at the heart of the disturbance, and if our goal is to bring Ethelhard back, I could use some support. After all, I am not as adept at directly confronting enemies of the house as the esteemed archmilitant, and taking into consideration Ethelhard's psychic powers. Okay, izgleda sam kliknuo dva puta slučajno. Se zahvalimo Diablo, a nisam. Then it is settled, Bahador. Find Edelhard and return here. In any state. This elevator, she points at the massive doors, leads to restricted compartments such as my personal chambers and the bridge. Do not let me down. I require you both. Do you understand? I hear and obey. Then move out. Mort, come. That's what she said. Voigtvir gives you a nod. Are you ready to head to 18? This is a long walk and you do not even have proper gear. I shall make do. Of course you will. He rummages in his pockets for something. Lady Theodora would never have someone she couldn't rely on as one of her heirs, but that is no longer relevant. With a pop and a sharp crackle, something hits you in the abdomen. and you are consumed by unbearable gut-wrenching pain. Izdajica! Ko bi rekao? Niko ne bi pretpostavio ovakvu situaciju. I promised you a special destiny, Bahador. It's time to fulfill it. Kakav danak neiskustvu. Spor je početak jako, pogotovo što ja čitam sve. A i bez čitanja, ono kad sričem sam sa sobom, je isto jako sporo, ali onda krene ludnica posle kada se završi ova intersekcija. Vojtvir kaže, careful, careful, be gentle with our guest. He has an important mission to complete during our visit to the warrant chamber. Znači, došli su do warranta. And for that, I need him breathing. Vojtvir looks down at you. You are back with us, I see. Delightful. Vojtvir, you two-faced scum, you are one behind this mayhem. How perceptive of you, Bahador. I'll help you with the next insight. I need you here for your blood. You have the option to share it voluntarily, or I will squeeze it out of you myself. We are in the anteroom of the warrant chamber, this void ship's most hallowed vault. There, beyond those gates, lies the relic that gives Theodora all her power, the sacred warrant of trade. Only one obstacle remains on my path to obtaining it. The gates of the chamber are guarded by the Sentinel, an ancient device that will only open the door to a true heir of the dynasty. I expected to do this part myself, but never mind. You will offer your blood to the Sentinel. Okay, zašto radiš ovo? Why? Because I'm following an order. What is happening on the ship right now has been in the making for a very long time. All that remains is to obtain what my master sent me for, the warrant of trade. Šta je inbreed? Kako bi preveli inbreed? Throwback na Deathwatch. On the contrary, the War's blessing had raised me too much above your kind, von Valencius. The Sentinel refused to submit to me, but you can help. After all, isn't that what your family is for? Isn't that what family is for? Coercion succeeded, do jaja. What sorry, pathetic excuse do you even have for your apostasy, you sorry wretched grog seed? Something, either your tone or the venomous words, throws Kunrad off for a moment, as hateful fury blazes from beneath the mask of a cold professional. Wretched? What do you know about wretchedness, Theodora Skur? Are you hoping to buy a grain of her indulgence with your blind loyalty? Oh, I know this delusion, but thank the gods, it no longer has power over me. Humanity can rot. I no longer serve mortal kind. But thank the gods, kao što se setite, rekao sam postoje 4 haos boga. Vojtvir hesitates for a second and then produces a strange weapon, a blade without a handle that shimmers blue in the light. Once my work is done, I'll make that pompous wench one Valencia's watch as I erase the entire dynasty chronicle and I commit the fate of the bloodline into the hands of the warp gods. And you, Bahador, will be one of the instruments by which I will accomplish this righteous act. Skill check. Sad, mogu da biram u dijalogu da li hoću da prođem skill check ili ne. Nekad nisu pasivni skill checkovi, nekad su aktivni. Znači, šanse mi je 60%, moram da bacim ispod toga. Ali vidimo šta se dešava. The blade flashes in a dim light and drops of blood appear in your palm. For a brief moment, you feel nauseous. Your head is spinning, and then quiet whispers begin to flood your mind. More and more sourceless voices echo each other, drowning out your own thoughts, replacing them with a singular urge. Go to the gate. Go to the gate. Go to the gate. E sad mogu da se borim, fight the voices in your head, get out, I'm not your puppet, yes. I will do as you require, but I will find a way to make you pay for this, you failed. Kaže, I get out, I'm not your puppet. Willpower check succeeded. Bacio sam 18, jo, ovo se ne dešava. The voices in your head persist in their demands, and yet you feel this unseen chorus momentarily waver under the strength of your resolve, until the intruding influence forces you to your feet and pushes you toward the gates looming in the center of the chamber. Dobio sam XP. Yay. In the gateway arch, you see a cogitator with a human likeness built into the front panel. As you approach, the torso twitches slightly. This is a servitory. To su, mislim piše, mindless cybernetic drones created from a fusion of human flesh and robotic technology used to carry out simple manual tasks. AI i, ajde kažemo, većina kompjutera je zabranjena u 40K zbog tog i tog razloga. Kako su onda uspeli da zamene to je sa ljudima. Uglavnom, osuđenici na smrt, tešku robiju ili se desi nešto, ljudi mogu da postanu servitori i onda se koriste oni za jednostavne taskove, znači to su bukvalno spoj mašine i čoveka koji ima neki zadatak da obavlja. Vidimo, tech use kaže, šanse 75, znači imam dobar tech use. This is a servitor, an obedient automaton created from a lobotomized human being. The sentinel turns its head to you, one of its eye sockets lighting up with two embryo-like irises. Aj probamo tech use. Prošao. You carefully inspect, vidim za koliko sam prošao. Okay. You carefully inspect the design of the gate cogitator. What immediately catches your eye is the strange alloy that was used as material for the machine's components, some of which are unfamiliar to you. You suspect that you are looking at a technological relic known as Archeotech. Archeotech je tehnologija koja postoji od davnina i među tek pristupima postoje par škola koji veruju da su Archeotechovi dobri, neki koji veruju da su to jeretički i opet jako je komplikovano, ali poenta je da je ovo jako retko, Archeotech se ne može da se nađe bilo gde. Tako da, kad se ovdje naglašavaju da je ovo baš mator i jako bitno. Vidimo šta daje. The servitor on the gate begins to move. With the screeching and groaning of metal, it leans forward, closer to you. Its lower jaw opens with a drawn-out shriek, much wider than the jaw of a living human could. The servitor's mouth is filled with sharp metallic fangs that glint in the dim light. The vid screen to the right of you lights up, showing strings of mysterious symbols on a green background. Samo moment, dobro. A whisper runs through your consciousness, insisting, demanding sacrifice. The voices that filled your head after Voigtvir wounded you with his blade did not go away. On the contrary, their source coiled itself into a tight knot somewhere in the depths of your mind. I'm the examiner of Sentinel. The servitor looks noticeably different from the ones you're used to. Copper thread stitches its skin. The joints are replaced by metal hinges. It seems that the creators of the Sentinel did everything so that the result of their work would serve much longer than ordinary working automatons. Stavim ruku. Sentinel's jaws clamp around your head, puncturing your skin and sinking into your flesh. Znači, bukvalno nas je ugrizo da nas testira. A few dark drops fall into the servitor's throat, and immediately you hear humming as the servo motors start up and the pumps stir into motion. The vid screen of the cogitator flickers. Several long minutes pass. The Sentinel's jaws remain closed, and you are beginning to feel sick. Perhaps if you were to lean against the gate, you could catch your breath. Maybe even close your eyes and pretend none of this ever had. Levels of caustic humors. The subject is in a state of heightened stress. Do you require assistance? You do not understand when this quiet voice is coming from, crackling like static. Is this the sentinel, the cogitator? Is it a figment of your very weary mind? Whatever it is, you can clearly hear every word. Who is this? You hear the voice again, and this time you realize that it's coming from the two speakers built into the sentinel's shoulders. Genetic code identified. Child of House von Valencius. Do you require assistance? You hear a displeased grunt in your mind, as if the lurking entity has sensed something that is not to its liking. Yes, Sentinel. Traitors threaten my life and the safety of the warrant. Yes. Pain shoots through your head and subsides just as quickly. It would seem the entity coiled in your consciousness does not have the ability to do you any real harm. Request accepted. Initiating defense protocol. Rip Invader. A, lik može da otvori portal uopšte. Nema veze. To cool. Kaže, check the warning chamber. Šola, kako gledaš. Ovaj background je amazing. Ovo je Warrant of Trade. Inače, ja kad sam vodio Rogue Trader frpove, nikada nisam zamišljao Warrant of Trade ovako. I ovo mi se mnogo više sviđa. Znači, ovo je bukvalno dokument koji je, ono, možda, ne znam, koliko ima ovoga, ne mogu da provalim uopšte. I koliko duboko to ide, ali je ogromno. I tu su napisana sva pravila koja postoje, koje Rogue Trader mora da prati, ne samo pravila, nego sva odobrenja koje ima. Let it be known that by my will and by the true words of this document jebi ga, nisam stigao ništa. Bla bla bla, ja imperator dajem Rogue Traderima sve. Ja dozvoljujem Rogue Traderima da se zajebavaju. Pojavljuje se Vox Skull. The servo skull crickling gradually turns into comprehensive words. Escort the child of the house to safety. What madness is happening here? Who are you? Who addresses me? Vox Skull. Temporary obnubilation, ne znam šta je, obnubilation following acute stress. Mobile unit of the warrant sentinel standing by. The warrant sentinel? Mobile unit of the warrant sentinel designed as a personal escort of the child of the house and a means of communicating with the Rogue Trader subjects. Mobile unit standing by. Vox cast frequency disrupted. Initiating setup. Establishing connection. In place of the mechanical screeching, the servo skull's Vox projects the voice of Theodora von Valencius, distorted and ridden with static yet still recognizable beyond of a doubt. Vox Master, restore communication with the Navigator Sanctum. I am trying to contact the bridge. If anyone can hear me on this frequency, regroup all available forces and head to the upper decks at once. I repeat, regroup all available forces and head. Communication protocols breached. Signal latency assessment unavailable. Unable to establish two-way connection. We need a weapon. Distance from the current location to the nearest arsenal. Initiating situational calculation. The servo skull goes silent. It relays clicking. Second after second passes and you realize that the servo skull will not answer you. Lead me away from here. Middle and upper decks. Assuming the probability of safe placement in the area's concentration of armed units. Calculating. The servo skull twitches and makes a few clicks. To prevent unauthorized units from breaching the warrant chamber, preemptive sealing must be initiated. The mobile unit will start executing the received order immediately after the safety of the warrant is secured. Prvo warrant, onda ljudi. Pošto imperator trenutno ne može da potpiše, jel? Novi warrant. Jer je temporarily indisposed. Abelard se pojavio, Seneschal. Seneschal Abelard Verserian has lost some of his former polish. His forehead is sweaty, and one of the sleeves on his coat is torn and soaked through with blood. Nonetheless, despite his heavy breathing, he stands firm and his gaze is demanding, albeit somewhat surprised. Master Bahardor, whatever are you doing in the warrant chamber? How did you... He surveys the carnage around him. His brow furrows and he places a hand on his weapon. Throne preserve me. What is the meaning of this? Kunrad Voigtvír is a traitor. We parted ways on the officer's deck. He stunned me somehow and brought me here. The Seneschal's eyes widen. What? He intended to take revenge on Theodora for an old grudge and become the rogue traitor himself. He spoke about defying the warrant with some ritual and serving the gods of the war. Serving the gods of the war? Kunrad is a heretic. Oh, Voigtvír, you void rat. Abelard shakes his head. Madness. This mutiny is likewise his doing, no doubt. Voigtvír openly admits that he is mastermind behind this mutiny. Groxi. Groxi je kao kuće, samo što je reptil. Then it is small wonder that the heretics are so well organized. I thought his order to seal all passages between decks was his attempt to stop the attackers from spreading to other levels. But now I see the real reason. It was to stop the enforcers from intervening. At least you are alive and now safe, Master Bahador. Alas, I doubt we can afford to look for a compartment to sit out this disaster. Boki, ako gledaš I dalje, ovo smo trebali da organizujemo zajedno I da uradimo novi Doki, vrati. Umro sam ovdje od čitanja. Abelard examines you critically. You're in a bad way, Bahardor. I can treat your wounds. I have a Medicaid kit with me. And for the love of the throne, now is not a good time to be walking around the decks without means of self-defense. Here, he hands you a weapon. Though it's my axe, auto pistol, flag chestplate I medkit. Dobro, I sad ćemo, to možemo da equipujemo. Medkit ćemo da damo njemu, pošto znam da ima medikaje. Evo kako su ga uradili. A ja ću da uzmem sekirče, pištolj. Uzet ću oklop. I sad imam 25% oklopa. Koja bi še bila ona... Gloves, da. Eto. Pogledajte Doki serijal na KPC kanalu, nećete se razočarati. Sad imamo party.
Your seneschal is always... We must. Sometimes you consult the appropriate... I'm at your service. We shall prevail.
Dobro. Sad da se ja setim beše šta sam imao. Weapon skill I weapon skill mi je bolje. Znači da treba da tabamo mele. Throne's Grace, what are you doing? Until we bandage your wounds, da.
Look no further.
F1. Da, sad imaju ovi woundovi. Postoji old wound koji može da se leči medkitom, a postoji I starije rane, to jest traumas, koji moraju da se leče... Ne, sam kakvi na boksu. Koji moraju da se leče restom na brodu. That is a noticeable improvement, Bahardor. Now you are prepared for the trials ahead. Dobro. Subizvonce. The lower decks are teeming with heretics instigating the rabble to revolt. But that is the least of our problems. The ship's enforcers are rounding up the scoundrels and suppressing the resistance. The situation on the middle decks is much worse, although strike teams have already been dispatched there. All communication with the bridge and the engineering bay was lost, so apart from the scattered cast, we have no information to go on. Da sam znao da ću ovako da radim zapravo, trebao sam da iscimam ove moje pajtose sa Discorda, koji umeju da se unesu uloge i svakome da dam po jednog i onda da napravimo bukvalno roleplay scenariju. A ono što se nadam da će da urade, da ubace custom igre za ovo, da nije kampanja i bit će co-op sigurno, to će biti strava. I onda ću možda moći lakše da organizujem digitalne frpove iz igre, nego da se akam sa Roll20 i drugim alatima. I obećao sam da ću da vodim novu knjigu koja je izašla, koju još nisam stigao da pročitam. Generalno, 40K frpovi su mnogo zabavni i poenta je što se ljudi toliko unesu u uloge kad igraju, jer je univerzum takav da te bukvalno tera da budeš, ne da tera, nego onako motiviše ljude da budu baš u ulozi svog lika. I zato sam uvek volao više da vodim 40K i da igram 40K nego D&D i drugo, jer u D&D-u ima više prostora za zajebavanje. Mislim, ima i ovde, samo što to zajebavanje je nekako kroz fluff i onda baš može dobro da ispadne. Imao sam mnogo dobro Rogue Trader kampanje, baš specifično Rogue Trader kampanje. A Boki je igrao Death Watch. Death Watch je s Space Marincima isto frp, koji sam ja vodio i to je bila pišijada, zato što je to bio Boki prvi frp. I ti frpovi se prepričavaju toliko dugo, čak su i neki mimovi izašli odatle, kao što je Haos ima ukus na jagode, koji se proširio van frpa i sad čujem neki nasumične ljude koji koristi tog Haosu jagode. Mi je tako fascinantno bilo, jedan od najboljih frpova koji sam imao u životu. Tako da hvala Boki što si toliko lud, brati. Ne znam zašto gledam u levo, zašto mi tamo chat i njegova slika. Ja držim Bojanovu sliku na drugom desktopu. Imam pitanje, pošto uskoro uzimam neku konzolu, interesujem koja je bolji Xbox ili PlayStation. Zavisi zašta hoćeš da je koristiš. Generalno imam obe, tu su. Mnogo više koristim PlayStation. Ali evo, Boki će da... Shilling, okej. Mnogo više koristim PlayStation zato što ima mnogo više ekskluziva. Ono po čemu je Xbox bolji je zato što ima Game Pass na sebi. Tako da, ako hoćeš da igraš PC igre, bolji je Xbox zato što je to maltene jeftin PC. Onako blago rečeno. To jest jako široko rečeno, a PS5 ima mnogo bolje ekskluzive i mnogo širi izbor onih goti igara, God of War, Spider-Man, Horizon naravno i tako dalje. Dok Xbox nema toliko ekskluziva u odnosu na Sony, jer sve igre koje izlaze na Xbox izlaze i za PC. Tako da zavisi, ako ne možeš da igraš igre na PC-u ili ako nemaš dovoljno dobar PC, Xbox je odgovor, zato što čak može da podržava miš i tastaturu. Dok je Sony jako malo skuplji, bolji u vidu ekskluziva i kontroler je mnogo zanimljiviji zbog onih adaptivnih triggera koji igre sve više koristi stvarno i ovog nije Rumble, nego to se sad zove feedback. Nije force feedback, stavo mi mozak sve kako se zove baš tačno to što koristi Sony. I eto, to je otprilike to. Mislim, ja koristim trenutno više Sony zbog ekskluziva, recimo sad smo igrali Spider-Man 2, igrali smo Horizon, igramo Alan Wake-a sada na Sony-u, dobro, to je sticaj okolnosti. Ali Xbox koristim za stvari koje ne mogu da igram na kompu. Mislim, moj komp je relativno i dalje dobar, ali Game Pass radi i na kompu i na Xboxu, što je velika prednost Xboxa. Eto, tako jako ukratko. Ali što se hardvera tiče, razlike su minimalne, tako da je, graphic fidelity je jako sličan između Xboxa i... Kao Xbox je malo jači, ali to je zanemarivo. Šta kaže Abelard? But that is not the worst of it all. He pauses when the light flickers yet again. All these jolts and shaking are most alarming. Da, još jako bitna stvar je da Xbox ima Series S, koji je slabiji uređaj, ali je znatno jeftiniji. Boki ima Series S i jako je zadovoljan njime. Pogotovo što igre koje su u Microsoft izdanju rade, ne sve, Redfall excluded, rade savršeno na Series S, isto koliko na Series X. Ali ako možeš malo više novca da izdvojiš, onda je Series X bolji, zato što ću u skorijoj budućnosti imati neke igre koje Series S neće moći da ima, jer je Series S znatno slabija konzola, ali je znatno manja veličine, tipa ovako neke grafičke karte. But that's not the worst of it all. He pauses when the light flickers yet again. All these jolts and shaking are most alarming. These are signs that the navigator and the master helmsman are having difficulty translating the ship out of the warp and into real space. In the worst case, they have already lost control of the process and we all have precious few moments left to live. In the best case, if we manage to reach the navigator's sanctum and get a handle on the situation, some aboard this vessel may yet survive. Dobro, da ne istražujemo više, pošto sam se malo umorio, malo ćemo da preskačemo dijaloge, jer ima Chuti for the Imperium lead away. A za ljudi koji hoće da igraju release, malo i da preskačemo spoilere. Abelard nods his approval. Come, Bahadur. A wave of static suddenly erupts from the servo skull, and you can make out Theodora's words through the noise. To arms, loyal sons and daughters of the God Emperor. Fight the heresy and corruption that threatens to consume our home, and with all your might destroy those who have dared. The seneschal eyes light up, and he smiles with a grim determination. The Lord Captain is calling her crew to battle, which means the Vox networks are set up for broadcast transmission, not message exchange. Splendid. While the rogue trader inspires proper resolve to fight in her subjects, you and I shall prove that her trust in us is well deserved. Onward. And it's an ambush.
Don't you dare to cross us.
E sad ide ovdje pravi tutorial kombata. Znači pre kombata mogu da postavim u određenom gridu svoje karaktere. Tako da mogu da ih pozicioniram za mele, ali ne mogu da stavim u kockice, tj. kvadrate pored neprijatelja. Tako, pošto smo bojica mele, krenut ćemo odavde. Ovo sam već objasnio. E sad. Ovako, znači imam, kao što se sećate, imam da se pomerim i imam da imam akciju, imam i granatu. Neću granatu da koristim sad, ali ću iskoristiti jedan action point za ovaj Let's Give Him Hell. Pomerit ću se ovde, znači to je, možete da predviđate kako radi. Recimo ovaj napad će da udari, samo da vidim zapravo kako on ide, ovaj cleave, jel? Swing. All creatures within the area of effect. Aha, u liniji, jel? In front of the attacker. Da li mogu da se namestim u liniju nekako? Ne mogu. Možda i mogu ovdje zapravo. I onda da udarim obojicu. Ne. Ne mogu, mora da bude jedan pored drugog. Ali nema veze, doći ću ovdje i izviznut ću ga sa strajkom. E da, ovdje postoji attack of opportunity. Što znači, ako sada pokušam da izađem, mislim nemam movementa, ali da pretpostavimo da imamo, Ako pokušavam da izađem iz kvadrata koji je direktno pored kvadrata neprijatelja, on ima priliku da me napadne besplatno. Mora da prođe sve rolove za napad, ali svakako ima priliku to da uradi. Melee weapons make it possible for enemies with rangers to attack at close range. Znači ne može da se puca u melee range-u ne može da se puca. E sad ovaj slash radi, tako da ja mogu da udarim ovde obojicu. Ako udarim u ovaj kvadrat ovde. I oni su gotovi. E sad, mogu da iskoristim charge. Charge je da se zaletim i da dođem u...
I'm not interested.
Koji mi nikad nije bio jasan kako radi. A, zato što nema prostora i zašto nema prostora?
Indeed.
Ako imam prostora da dođem na kocku iza, onda dobijem free napad iz charge. Dobro, trojicu sam ih skinuo. Evo, on je pokušao da se pomeri iz mog kvadrata pored mene i popio je attack of opportunity direktno. E sad možda ovaj klip radi. Znači ja mogu, ovdje mi on prikazuje da ja mogu obojicu se zviznem. Experience points, dobio sam level. Dobro, to ćemo proći zajedno. I gotov je kombat, ajde da lootujemo. Jasnići ovo. E sad, super je fora sa lootovanjem. Znači, pronalazit ću baš veliku količinu oružja, opreme i tako dalje. Biće baš puno. Ono što znači da ću da pretrpam inventar apsolutno brzo, jel? Ono što mi dozvoljava je da prebacujem sav loot koji nađem u cargo. Cargo ću objasniti kasnije ako stignemo na ovom streamu, ne znam koliko već streamujem dugo. Piše negde to možda u OBS-u. I nemam pojma. Okej. Boki mora da mi pokaže u ovom OBS-u kako se ovo još namešta. Opa, gde sam otišao? Znači, kad se lootuje može da ide u inventar, a može da ide i u cargo. Bukvalno punim cargo sa materijalom. 100 minut, hvala. E sad, pošto je ovaj last pistol radi veći damage od mog i ima penetraciju, ima slabiji rate of fire, to je koliko može da puca u odnosu na napade. Naprimer, ovaj ima ovde pistol shot, ima single shot, ali last pistol ima samo pistol burst i pokazuje tačno koje kockice kvadrate pokriva. Ajde, zadržat ću ovo, ali ću sve ove mačeve koji su slabiji da prebacim u cargo. Vidim da sam sve lootovao i onda mogu da... Aha, nije mi prebacio sve. Ne znam zašto. To mogu posle da... Nije bitno, neću sad se baviti time. Ali mogu da ekvipam novi pištolj. E sad, da, možete da imate dva loadouta koje možete da birate tokom borbe, što je super fora. E, ajde da se levelujemo sad. Znači, i dalje ne mogu ovu drugu... A možda i mogu. Aha, mogu da multiklasujem odmah, jel? Aha, dobro. Nećemo da multiklasujemo sad. Ok, odatle može, da naučio sam ja nešto novo. Ništa, budžimo fightera. Znači, prvo biramo ability. Igra ima preporuke za ability koje mogu da se uzmu. Endure je super, zato što until the fighter's next turn, all incoming damage is reduced. Pošto sam melee karakter, onda je super da uzmem ovo za početak, jer nemam puno HP-a. I onda biram skill, i sad ćemo da vidimo da li... ne mogu koržen, ne treba... Kraus, ovo je skill dozvoljava da oduprem s negativnim efektima, tipa ako pijem, poison i tako dalje. Ili Athletics. Athletics mi povećava koliko mogu da skačem, da se penjem i plivam i tako dalje. Ajde, Kraus ćemo da uzmemo. I to je za početak to, jer je tek level 2. Kod komesara i kod ovog Seneša lista priča pošto je on ista klasa kao i ja. Njemu mogu isto Endure da uzmem i njemu mogu da uzmem Athletics recimo. I eto, to je za sad. Idemo naprijed. Aha, da. Ovo nije loading, nego je zona. Znači, ovo je naš brod. I sad određujemo gdje ćemo da idemo u okviru tog broda, pošto imamo samo jednu opciju, ćemo teknemo ovdje. Okej, nešto se srušilo. I dira. Okay, Psykerka sa Psychic Screamom. I dira. The woman before you whips around and gazes straight at you, her eyes glowing with otherworldly light. And so he will never enter the halls of the blinded guide and witness the radiance of the final dawn through the cracks and fall victim to a whim of fate. Master Bahardor, watch your head. Padiship. Idira. Abelard grumbles as he dusts himself off and grips his weapon again. Would it be too much to ask that you phrase your soothsaying plainly for once? That was too close. Ona je Psykerka soothsayerka, objasnit ćemo šta. The woman bursts into a guttural, drunken laughter. Haha, sorry old man. The voices are so loud, I can't even hear myself. They shriek, they sing, they... Oh, Abelard, how they sing. Bahadur, this is Indira Tlas, or Tias, Tlas? Tlas, ovo je L i ovo je L, ok. Okay. Tias, personal psyker and diviner of her ladyship Theodora von Valentius. Abelard looks her up and down. Idira, I'm not drunk, old man. I'm suffering the effects of the warp that is seeping through these walls. I see the ship's fate, to die in waves of the immaterium, fall under the burning rays of the falling dawn. Final dawn, and in the roaring blaze I see a figure standing. Who is it? Who? I have no answer. The entity in your consciousness shrinks and crawls in deeper, its claws scraping against the walls of your mind, as if the presence is trying to hide from the seer standing before you. A diviner are you? Idira nods, yet her gaze is directed somewhere far away, somewhere away from you. The voices from beyond the threshold whisper to me. Sometimes their murmurs are clear, they grant insight. Sometimes they drive me mad. But I am patient, I know how to listen and discern. But now, with this clamor around me, too many voices. Too many voices! Too loud. Ovo je Dark Tide referencija. Dira turns her head to you, her vacant eyes flaring like embers. And you are Bahadur von Valentius, one of Lady Theodora's heirs. Well then, we finally meet. You hear a few clicks from the relays of the servo skull, which has followed you all the way here, and Theodora's scrambled words give you a way to voice vaguely familiar to you. Officer's frequency, to all who can hear me, those with weapon in their hands are to gather on the officer's deck at once. I repeat, gather on the officer's deck at once and prepare to launch a counterattack. That's Edelhard. Empress Providence. The other heir leaves as well. Quickly, we must head to... Not so fast, old man. If we drown in the warp, no number of Lady Theodora's heirs will be of use to us anymore. If Ethelhard, like me, has not yet surrendered either mind or body to the mercy of the warp, then he can still hold out a little without us. Abelard spits out a florid curse. Blast it, you are right. First we need to deal with what is happening here. How do you know who I am? What, you think Lady Theodora didn't ask me to peek into the darkness behind the backs of those she sees as her prospective heirs? Dira laughs in a deep voice. I have seen you, Bahadur. I have seen the footsteps of your past and the wounds of your heart. The whispers called me, the ones I could make out among all the screams and screeches. Those who are rocking this boat hit us where it hurt. They went after the navigator, our guide through the warp. Other whispers called me to the engineerium, but it was too late. I heard the cry of our master cog and the silence that followed. What? You don't mean the chief engineer is... Yes, Abelard, dead, without a doubt. And the voices wail, heralding countless nightmares, cackling at each other, at each soul among the hundreds that are now joining the warp. The shriek from the navigator's sanctum was louder than the rest, and it's better that we save the navigator than some lever puller from a cooling module or a cook from the middle decks. We must see if the navigator is well. Oh, no. Nothing is well about him. Can't you feel the chill crawling on your skin? The eyes watching you. The warp ice has already encased the bulkheads. What follows is calamity. Dira freezes. Then she slaps her cheeks, rubs her face, and looks at you. The supernatural glow is gone from her eyes, and a smirk spreads across her lips. But we're not just going to stand here and take it, are we? The state of things in here suggests there's a navigator around. Maybe one who's crippled or at death's door, but still kicking. And since our skin hasn't peeled off our faces yet, this third eye must be closed. At worst, it's a little roughed up. So what are we moping around for? Let's go protect that noble mutant while we are still alive. Dobro, sad ne objašnjamo partiji. Pošto to znamo, možemo dalje. Ovdje ćemo da uradimo quick save, verujte mi. Jer mi se ovaj ovdje deo bugovo mjesto. Hurry, destroy this field. Don't keep our master waiting.
I won't tolerate weakness.
Ajmo i Dira, brati.
Yes.
I'll see you terminated.
Ok, combat.
Crush them.
E sad, nju ćemo da stavimo odmah iza kavera. Seneschal može ovdje da se namesti za charge. I ja mogu da se namestim ovdje za charge i nekom half coveru. Ne znam zašto ne prikazuju, izgleda se zabagovalo opet. Inače prikazuje da li je full cover ili half cover. Da li je full blokiranje napada ili je polu. Postoje ikonice, tačno prikazuje. Dobro, sad objašnjava Sajkirku. E sad, Sajkirka ima isto action poene i ima nešto što se zove kako se to se zovu tipovi, ajde kažemo tipovi jačine magija. U tabletopu je Fettered, Unfettered i Push, što znači da Sajkiri generalno ne dozvoljavaju da warp izađe iz njih skroz. I onda mogu da pojačavaju polako svoje magije uz pomoć komunikacije sa warpom. Fettered je kada su najslabiji, to jest kada je mali kontakt sa warpom. Unfettered je kad već budže magiju, a push je kada pozivaju sav warp koji mogu da kontrolišu u svoje magije. E sad, Sajkiri imaju ovu neku foru za study enemies, koje mi nije super najjasnija kako radi, ali daje neke silne bonuse na napade, na skill checkove i šta god u odnosu na te clue tokene koje ona stavlja. Ali svakako uradit ćemo jedan chain lightning koji ne mogu odavde iz nekog razloga. Zašto?
I'm not so sure.
A, ne postoji line of sight. A šta kaže kako ide chain lightning? A ne mogu ni da se pomogu. A izaći ćemo se, ne mogu odavde chain lightning da uradim novo.
I know what is to come. Be gone.
E sad, ono što sam vam pričao za movement je sad ne mogu da se vratim u cover. Što me uvek smaralo. E sad, ti ćeš da chargeuješ ovdje iza i da ga ubiješ. I pošto nemam više movement speeda, onda ću da uradim endure. Da dobijem ovaj mali štitić, iako me biju... Baci nula. Dobro. Ja sam na potezu, ja mogu da dođem ovdje i da chargeujem opet iza, jel tako? I evo, i on je chargeovao ovdje iz nekog razloga. I to mi nije jasno zašto radi. Znači, baš ono, dosta bugova ima igra i nekih neobjašnjenih pravila. Vespiadas. Vespiadas je navigator. Navigatori su, kao što sam rekao, mutanti, plemenite krvi, koji služe da, koji imaju 3 oka. Treće oko je uvek zatvoreno kada su u prisustvu bilo koga, ali kad sednu na ovaj warp throne ovde, oni otvore to treće oko i navode brod kroz warp. Ono što je zanimljivo kako to rade je sa imperatorovog trona, pošto je imperator premoćni sajker, izlazi, ajde kažemo, moć koja se zove astronomika. To je kao svetionik koji se vidi kroz warp. I navigatori uvek znaju gde je zemlja, gde je Terra, pošto je imperator na zemlji. I onda u odnosu na taj svetionik, oni putuju kroz druge delove warpa. The creature in the chair appears as if it has become one with its throne. You see pink parchment-like skin stretched between the seat and the limbs that have too many joints for a normal human being. The navigator is breathing heavily, the air whistling as it exits through the 2 dark gill-like slits on its cheeks. The creature's eyes are shut, the 2 ordinary eyes as well as the 3rd one that sits in the center of its forehead. I believe Master Vespidas still lives. Abelard flinches at the sight of the stretched skin and the dark marks on the face of the creature. The servants are dead, but the chamber, thank the Emperor, is still sealed from the warp. We will have a chance of leaving this place alive. What is wrong with him? Wounded, exhausted, fighting back the endless horrors of the warp that are forcing their way into his head. Pick one. The navigator stirs, barely able to lift his head and half open his normal eyes. A dark drop rolls from under the colossal lid of the 3rd eye and down his face, leaving behind a black trail. Your time is short. The voice is coming from the Vox grill at the base of the bizarre chair. It's unclear how the navigator is able to produce human speech. Suddenly, the navigator's body starts thrashing in place. It lurches forward, then falls back onto the seat, then thrusts forward again as its bones crack and its skin tears open. However, the fusion between body and the chair appears to be stronger than these wild impetuses. The mutant remains seated but leans as far forward as he can, his layered raiment slowly turning crimson. The gill slits burst open, forming 2 hideous screaming mouth-like pits. Fall to your knees, mortals, and behold the final dawn. Indira shrieks in terror. It came from beyond. His body is not his. Indira's scream is echoed by the silent cries in your head. The unseen creature triumphs at the sight of the navigator succumbing to the paroxysm of corruption. Wow, koliko novih reči ima ova igra, brate, moram da zapisujem. Its march thunders under the burden of hopes. Unseal your hearts, and I will flood your souls with a myriad of words and meanings, each one a portent of salvation within me. The navigator continues to convulse violently in his seat, shrieking and cackling, and then his fit stops abruptly. His face is drenched in black and crimson. The dark ooze from under his third eyelid has turned from a trickle into a stream, mixed with the blood coming out of his nose, and there is purplish swelling around the eye. Run! Free from this place while I still have the strength. The words came out of the box's labeled rattle. I can contain the intrusion, but not for long. We must begin the translation, leave the warp, but it cannot be done without the master helmsman's help. Ko te muči? The edge, navigator starts thrashing about once more, his gill mouths bursting with crazed laughter. Kneel before the ascent of a new champion. When the rite is complete, this shell will burst, and thousands of maws will accept the sacrifice offered to the edge of daybreak by the bringer of twilight, the one marked by the will of the gods. Each word rings through your head like a tolling of a bell, as if countless voices have joined in, screaming into your ears. For a moment you lose your bearings. This unholy chorus must be trying to confound you with sounds not meant for this world. Ajde ovako malo da ubrzamo. The seneschal gazes at the figure in the chair. The ship can only begin the translation with the assistance of the master helmsman. If he's still alive, this is worth a try. We must get to the bridge, but we will need support. Our only option is to fight our way to the officer's deck and join forces with Ethelhard and his people. Whatever. I believe we will also find Lady Theodora there. She must have heard the call to arms that the servo-skull relayed to us earlier. Indira reaches her hand out towards the navigator, but pulls it back at the last moment. Vespiadas, good luck and thank you. The navigator does not give a response. Black tears mixed with blood are streaming from under the closed eyelids, and the vox at the base of the chair bellowing out static interspreads with the distant echoes of otherworldly laughter. Dobro. Naravno loot prvo. Ovo sve može tu cargo.
Follow my lead.
Idemo dalje. Mislim da se vratimo nazad. Officer's deck. I shall pity not your enemies, I shall heed not their pleas. Battle, sisterka.
God Emperor, move through me. Be fire in my heart.
Kakve su gospodarice univerzuma? Znači, najveći simpovi u 40k. Sve možda Cadiana. Duga beta, mislim da traje preko 10 sati, ima baš dosta da se igra. Misliš koliko duga u smislu gameplaya ili koliko će dugo da traje? I mislim da se dobija beta ako preorderuješ igru. Poprilično sam siguran da je tako, ali proveri na Steam page-u. Ali sam... Ne, zapravo ja mislim da igra još nije u preorderu zapravo. Zapravo je igra i dalje u wish listi. Sad ćemo proverimo zapravo. To je dobro pitanje, pošto i mene to zanima. Mislim da nema još preorder. Da, nema preorder, a može da se traži beta. Preorder beta je to official website. Ono preko websajta se preorderuje, otkud znam. Ali preko Steama ne može još. Ne znam da li mogu da linkujem sajt, pošto mi čak ne da ni da kliknem iz Steama. Očigledno preko njihove prodavnice može direktno da se preorderuje beta, a na Steamu i dalje 7. decembar release, ali nemaju preorder opciju. Ja bih volio da mogu da preorderam onaj Collector's Edition, ali Srbistan. Argenta kaže, the white-haired warrior turns to face you, her dark eyes blazing. The weapon quivers in her hands, and for a brief moment, it seems she's not going to stop and will instead continue eliminating every target she sees, starting with you. Sister Argenta, the seneschal's voice carries the weight of a command, and it seems to bring the warrior out of her battle trance. Sister Argenta, it's a relief to see you in good health and well armed. We require all the forces we can muster. The young woman called Argenta lowers her weapon and scans your small party with an intense gaze. Then she sets her sights on you. Your face, it's unfamiliar. Who are you? As predstavim, Argenta gives you another stern appraisal. You catch something strange in the dark depths of her eyes, some internal struggle or a wordless question. In the end, however, she nods. The hour is dark and daunting. The ship abounds with corruption. The faces of friends are twisted by sneers of heresy. The eyes of comrades are igniting with an arch-enemy's hunger. Arch-enemy je drugi naziv za haos. I will stand shoulder to shoulder with anyone willing to halt the advance of the dark forces. That's why you have come, isn't it? Sister, I beg of you, Abelard appears to be losing his patience. Now is not the time for interrogations. The ship is under attack by heretics. We have been betrayed by our esteemed master of whispers. Ethelthard and the heirs are waiting for our aid, and Lord Captain Theodora is expecting a report on our success. Of course, we are here to deal with the situation, so I suggest we all do just that. No time to talk. Very well, let us leave it at that. Argenta raises his chin proudly. I cannot wait to rain fire upon more heretics, each and every one of them. Prošao sam neki lore. What is a warrior of the Eta Sororitas? Da tako se zove njihov klan, da nazovem. Adepta Sororitas, to su svete sestre. Doing abroad a rogue trader ship. Your orders serve the Ecclesiarchy. Ecclesiarchy je crkva. Sister Argenta is a guest of the Lord Captain. Abelard shoots her a quick glance. And that story deserves its own time and conversation under more appropriate circumstances. So dobije XP. Every minute spent in idle chatter robs the soul of their life through the actions of scoundrels and traitors. I am where I must be. That will suffice. I'm a leader. Through this door, Argenta nods at the passage to your right. I'll go with you. I can't wait to destroy those who encroached on the God Emperor's domain. Overseer, kaže jedan od vojnika, we will follow. For now, we will hold off any heretics who might try to crawl in through the cracks to join the main assault, and we will take a look at the generators while we're at it. Those villains made a mess of the cables. Oh, I wish we had a technomat with us, but we will see what we can do without one. Good to hear it. Sister? Ready. May Terra's light illuminate our path through fire and darkness. Terra je zemlja, jel? Dobro. Sad imamo 4 čoveka u partiju. Ono što je strava, kod nje ona je marksman i marksmeni toliko kidaju da su rekli da će da ih u release-u nerfuju. Well maintained X, ajde ovo ćemo da uzmemo zato što je well maintained. I sad ćemo da equipujemo moj well maintained X. I da vidimo šta ovi drugi imaju. Ona ima Unfading Valor, ovo je kao neki bolt gun, jeste. I ima jedan autopistol. I ona kida s ovim bolt gunom i... mnogo dobro. Mnogo dobro. E sad, pošto imamo neki ovdje old wounds, onda ćemo da iskoristimo...
Let's patch you up. Thank you.
Da se izvučimo.
I'm always ready.
I da malo istražimo okolo, vidimo da ima neki loot. Ima! Da, 3. decembra izlazi full igra. E sad, ovako mogu ponekad da nađem kargo, koji je čist kargo koji mi ne ide u inventar. I to sve ide u brod. I ima jako dobra fora sa tim i kasnije. Mi smo još u tutorialu zapravo.
I did fine.
Combat.
I'll lay claim to the stars.
Idemo odmah u mele. I ti. Ti se sakri ovdje u cover koji i dalje je zabagovan, ali nema veze. I ti se sakri ovdje u half cover. I start battle. Ja sam na potezu, znači ja ću da charge i opet ne mogu da charge, aha, mogu odavde.
Already done. You didn't stand a chance.
I nema više movementa.
Not a problem for me.
I ne mogu više ništa se endure. Ti dođe ovdje i seci ovog.
It will be done.
Čovjek ima chainsword.
I will do my duty.
Radi endure. Pošto nisu cover, ovo im znači jako. E sad ovdje mi objašnjava brst, ali ja nisam u poziciji za brst, ali mogu da uradim shoot on the run. I da dođem ovdje. I onda da vidim da li će ovdje brst da mi radi, apsolutno hoće. E sad, ono što je fora što sa range napadima mogu da pogađam i svoje. Što se meni lično ne sviđa, ali je deo igre. Ne sviđa mi se ne zato što pogađam svoje, nego zato što mogu često pogađam svoje. A kasnije marksman dobija spell koji govori ljudima u prednjim linijama da se sakriju, to je trebalo bi da garantuje dodge, ali ne radi. Uvijek ih pogađa. Ok, rip neprijatelji. Bolt gun u facu. Ali imam još action poena, što znači da li mogu još jedan burst odavde da pogađam nekog mog. Miline. Ma idemo. Kao što rekoh, marksmeni su vrlo OP. Vrlo su OP. Dalje. Ok, ti si malo daleko za bilo šta. Mislim, ne možeš da dovatiš ovog majok. Ne možeš ni da dođeš ovdje. Ajde onda da uradimo Psychic Scream. Možda mogu Psychic Scream-om ovo. Da, inače animacije smrti su baš 40k. Od kidanje udova, Znači, krv na sve strane, fenomenalno, milina, prelepoća, prelepoća. I ajde da uradimo jedan stud enemies ovde.
Will do.
Koji dalje ne zna kako radi. I nemamo više momenta.
That was
Auć.
insulting.
Aha, evo sad su se pojavile ove napokon. Znači, full cover je ovde kad je sa lobanjicom, half cover je kad je pola ovog štita. Sad, jel ja mogu da stanem recimo ovde i da ga čaržem ovako, ako dođem, ja ga čaržem. Ne mogu. Da li mogu stanem ovde uopšte? Ne mogu. Ali mogu ovde da uđem u cover i da pucam u njega i da se nadam najboljem.
Suits my purposes.
I pogodit ću stolicu 2 puta. Ja. Dobro, ništa, preskočit ću turn, ali ti možeš da dođeš ovde i da ga zvizneš sekirčetom.
Follow my lead. We should deal with this. One viewer target.
Dobro, i sad Marksmanka opet dobija shoot on the run. Što mi daje veći movement i bolje pucanje. I onda mogu da stanem recimo... ko su ostalo? Ova dvojica samo, znači mogu da stanem ovde. Gdje mi se ne računa možda hardcover. I onda mogu opet da uradim ovo.
Faith without deeds is worthless. Each strike is a prayer.
Ma rip neprijatelj, preživao neko? Ma gdje je preživao? Marksmeni! Dobro, on ima bolter, ali svakako marksmeni su dobri. Generalno. E sad da lootujemo svega. Scrappy autogun, ovo sve ide u cargo. E da, ono što je super zabavno je da svako oružje ima određenu količinu municiju u šaržeru i mora da se reloaduje. Košta 4 action poena za reload ovog oružja. Znači ja imam 14 puta da pucam tokom bitke dok ne bude morao da reloadujem. Mogu neki free XP da skupim. Exact replica of the ship. Ima li ima još nešto negdje da se pokupi? Evo ovdje. Machine right set. Hoćemo zadržimo. Melta i multi-key. Ovo je za otključavanje vrata, ovo je za raznos vrata, a ovo je za hakovanje vrata, ajde tako da kažem.
It's about time.
Nisam propustio. Ovo može isto to kako se. E sad ovdje mogu da otvorim vrata. I sad mogu da biram da li ću machine ride ili hoću logic. I ovo je, mislim, ako koristim machine ride, to mi je 100%, ali treba mi tech use ili preko logike. Ne trošim ništa. Melta i gloves. Znači za tech use. Ajde vidimo ko je najbolji u tech use. On ima tech use, ajde njoj ćemo stavimo još da ima bolji tech use. Dobro. I ovdje ima neka vrata. I evo sad mogu da biram da li ću da ih raznesem, da li ću da ih lockpikujem ili ću da probam tech use. Probat ćemo tech use.
I rise to the occasion. I won't tolerate weakness.
Restore power supply.
Excellence matters.
I sad sam ugasio svetlo, what the fuck. Šta znači, nisam prošao? Unsucceeded, da. Dobro. Open the door.
The Emperor favors me today.
None shall stand in my way.
Medpack melta, može... Čekaj, imamo 30%. Demolition, aj
I did
promise.
fine.
Uspeo sam. Mental heroism. Heroic actovi, to ako dođemo dotle, na ovom streamu objasnit ću kako funkcionišu heroic actovi, mnogo dobra fora. Ali ajde probamo njemu da ekvipujemo ovo, ne može. Requires benevolentia adherent. Cannot be equipped.
Your seneschal is always there for you.
Ja, može on. Da, mnogo su dženki urađeni ovi plaštovi. Ej, dobili smo level, taman da se levelujemo. Zašto sam izašao? Ovdje sam dobio advance, znači automatski mi je izabralo ovo da se na tom levelu dobije da ima veći movement speed. I sad biram talent. The fighter gets on the parry chance against fighter's total armor, to je dobro. Aj, stavit ćemo tik skin za sada. Kod njega ćemo da stavimo contempt. Njoj ćemo logic da povećamo, nećemo tech use. I... sad ove su ove clue stvari koje meni nikad nisu bile jasne. Expose weakness cost 0 AP. Ovo je baš dobro zapravo. Every element in study enemy's area adds additional clue to the distribution. Ili ovaj fresh target, weak body. Expose weakness also decrease enemy toughness and willpower. Hajde prvo ovo onda. Rapid reload, taste the pain. Rapid reload je zapravo uvek dobra odluka. I awareness ćemo da je povećamo.
Follow my lead.
I još luta. I još luta. Evo što ovdje piše. Dobro, dalje. Sad ovdje moram da postavim demolition. Moram da raznesem vrat.
Never doubt me.
Easy. Donde?
A new challenge for me?
Loot. Ok, prelazimo preko, pretpostavljam. The roar of the flames rings in your ears, and the choking smoke makes you cough and gasp for air. You instinctively recoil from the scorching heat, wiping your face. A moment later, a hazy silhouette forms in the raging wall of fire. You are surrounded by ear-splitting noise and screaming, yet you distinctly hear the sound of footsteps. And then you see the figure walk out of the fire towards you. It's Theodora von Valencius. Her expression is calm, terrifyingly so for someone whose body is engulfed in an inferno. One of her hands are resting on the hilt of her power sword. The other is raised in an inviting gesture. Are you lost, my heir? Argenta goes as still as statue, then slowly raises her weapon. An apparition. A sorceress apparition. Trickery of the warp. Sister, you will lower your weapon. Despite his commanding tone, Abelard does not sound too confident. He starts staring at the rogue trader, and you notice a muscle in his cheek twitching. Threatening the Lord Captain is outrageous. This is impossible. I doubt you are aware of the limits of what is possible. Bahadur, for your worldview is but an iota of what a rogue trader knows and sees. But I can tell that you would like me to share that knowledge with you. That power over reality. Theodora watches you without blinking. Her snake-like gaze almost makes you forget about the fire searing you, leaving burns on your skin. I can lead you out of these flames, Bahadur, show you a path, rid you of pain, and give you a weapon so that you may defeat your enemies. Decide. Your mouth begins to salivate. Each word Theodora speaks is like music to your ears. The entity that now dwells in your deepest recesses of your mind is pleading, begging, demanding that you give her an immediate answer. And that answer can be nothing other than acceptance. Što znači da nećemo. Do not listen to this abomination, Bahadur, if there is not but his light in your heart, if you are resolute in your faith, then step into the flames. The Emperor protects. His faithful will not be deterred by either darkness nor deceitful promises, nor will the fire burn those who carry the torch of faith in their soul. To the void with you, we need to follow Lady Theodora before we suffocate in this furnace. The people, Abelard looks back at the coughing and confused people around you. Bahadur, the survivors from the middle decks, we must help the crew, lead them out, fight a way around. Over the roaring flames you hear distant sounds, frightening voices, screams, muffled and distorted, as if there were a body of water between you and them. Then we will miss our chance to meet up with Dede. Idira breaks off and starts coughing violently. Her knees buckle, and she looks like she's about to fall. Bahadur, what are we waiting for? E sad, ovdje ima tri tipa izbora kao što je recimo Paragon i Renegade u Mass Effectu. Ovdje ima Imperialis, Hereticus i Benevolentia. Imperialis je walk through the fire, the Emperor will guide the righteous on their path. Hereticus je da prihvatim ponudu, te neke čega god aparacije koje se pojavila. I Benevolentia je get the people off the bridge, I will not leave my goody two shoes. Ali pošto sam ja komesar imperialni, ja ću da idem na Imperialis. Plus 12 sam dobio Imperialis. Thousands of needles pierce your consciousness, but are powerless to stop you. You take a step forward and the illusion breaks. A wave of excruciating pain crashes over you, and Theodora's voice fades into the firestorm. You hear the voices of your companions calling you from behind, and the screams of the weak dying in the inescapable blaze. The blinding inferno, the harrowing pyre, the all-consuming storm releases you as you step out, barely able to stay on your feet. The blood is pounding in your ears, drowning out the world around you. Your eyes, caked in soot and burned eyelashes, refuse to open. Free from the flames, you take 2 more steps before collapsing onto your knees. The rush of blood in your temples and the horrible pain all over your scorched body cloud your mind, before suddenly retreating as if driven away by some mighty will. A new strength spreads through your veins, and despite the wounds, your body is once more ready for trials and struggle. You open your eyes and see, aglow with warm light before you, the Aquila. Aquila je dvoglavi orao, to je sigil Imperiuma, vidi svuda se pojavljava ga i ovdje. The sacred symbol of the Imperium. In the next moment, you are struck with another realization. The repulsive presence, the one that has plagued your mind since Voidgear has wounded you, is gone. The fire seems to have burned the entity away without a trace. Bahadur, Master Bahadur, can you hear me? A familiar voice cuts through the din and the pounding. Seneschal Abelard Verserain is leaning over you, peering into your face with a look of worry. He notices your gaze and breathes a sigh of relief. You are alive and sane, which is more than I was expecting after what you just did. Praise the Emperor, Argenta kneels next to you, and for the first time you see her eyes radiate pure, unclouded joy. We pass through the flames. Oh, how this can be anything but a portent. For so it said that the emperor will bless the worthiness and the worthiest and most steadfast in their faith. Behind Argenta you see Dir Atlas doubled over a fit of nausea. The rest of the people who are following you have withered away in the fire that continues to rage mere meters from you. The emperor protects Seneschal. Your tone renders Abelard motionless. Then he quickly makes the holy sign of the Aquila himself. Indeed he does. If I hadn't seen it myself, I would never have believed. Dira wipes off her mouth and asks, what happened to Lady Theodora? Did she follow us? There was no Theodora, witch. Argenta is staring straight ahead, then crosses her arms over her chest with reverence. There was an illusion, a temptation, a foul taint that tried to lead us astray, but Bahadur perceived in its true nature. Is that right, Adepta Sanctimonious? We'll just pretend like we didn't see Lord Captain standing there in the fire. Abelard, you tell her. Whatever it was, it matters no longer. Your conduct, Bahadur, is bordering on madness or holiness. A path opened behind you, where one moment there was fire, the next only smoldering embers remained. But what am I saying? My eyes must have deceived me. Too much smoke for my lungs. Truly, would you have received wounds like these if there had been no fire? The wounds are merely a sign of the trial laudably passed. It is something to be proud of, the same as decorations or badges of honor. Argenta herself sounds proud, even fervid. Rise and stand tall. No element holds power over the righteous. Dismiss the help. Stand on your own. I feel fine. No element. Okay. Even if you were anticipating another wave of pain, it does not come. Your muscles feel strong and your limbs obey you without fail. And yet, deep inside, somewhere next to your heart and stomach, you feel a certain tension akin to that of a taut string. You are at your limit. Be it adrenaline or the strength of your fate, it will not carry you much further. Edelhard von Valancio stares at you without trying to hide his awe. Bahadur, do my eyes deceive me? I could swear that I just witnessed you step out of a pillar of fire with the rest of following in your wake. Indeed it is. Edelhard makes a sign to the Aquila and gives you another look, this time of concern. Your wounds. I promise, Laura. Check failed. Edelhard looks tired and exhausted, but his eyes burn with desire for action. He is determined to go where the bridge defeat the heretics. I can fight. Then let us steal our souls. Our greatest trial awaits. I have gathered everyone who answered the Vox call and was able to hold a weapon. Yet I do not see the Lord Captain or her arch-militant in our midst. We are still receiving messages in her voice, but she is not responding to direct requests. I last saw Lady Theodora on the observation platform. Where did you and she part ways? It was at this very elevator, Master Ethelhard. The Lord Captain, accompanied by the Arch-Militant, headed to her chambers to retrieve an item of particular import. After that, all we heard from her were Vox broadcasts. This is troubling, and the timing is inopportune. I'm still receiving fragmentary reports from the bridge. Kunrad Voigtvir was spotted there, and even what scant intelligence on his activities I have reminds me of descriptions of sorcerer's rituals. If that traitor has resorted to witchcraft, we must stop him at once. No, you most certainly are not ready. You can barely stand upright after what happened. It's best that we go retrieve Lady Theodora and let Ethelhard commence the attack on the Voigtvir. A reasonable approach. Take your escort with you. You may be waylaid. Once you have found Lord Captain, you must beg her to go to the bridge and lead the counterattack. The rogue trader's appearance is sure to fill the defenders' hearts with hope, however frightened or exhausted they might be. Until next we meet, may the Emperor bless your deeds. I shall see you in the field of battle. Drugačiji je ishod u odnosu na ono što sam ja izabrao kad sam igrao prvi put. Tako da to je cool. To ima branching paths, to je najbitnije. Ovdje.
I'll lay claim to the stars.
vidimo šta kaže quest. Idemo, ovdje treba da idemo. Okej, pošto ovdje sad idemo u duboke spoilere, staćemo ovdje, ja ću da save-ujem. Ima još malo tutoriala, da kažemo, tutoriala sekcije, mi se igramo već, 2,5 sata. Tako da ako želite da nastavimo s ovim streamom, ja nemam ništa protiv, napišite u komentarima ako želite da nastavimo sa betom. Ili ako želite da sačekamo da igra izađe u full release za manje od mjesec dana, pa onda da igramo tad. Svakako ću ja igrati, vjerovatno ću raditi review, ali možemo i da je streamujemo ako želite da igramo zajedno. Tako napišite to u komentarima. I eto, mislim da možemo da završimo stream za večeras. Hvala puno što ste bili tu, hvala svim koji su gledali, sub zvonce, Boki, Patreon link naš, znači nam puno ako bacite pogled, još više ako bacite neku donaciju. I eto, hvala puno i čujemo se u sljedećem streamu, u sljedećoj recenziji, u sljedećem šta god. Tako da, čao svima i pozdrav!